Good evening, everyone, to another episode of Two Grown Men. My name is Yemi, and this is my brother.
My name is Olaomi. Welcome. Thank you for joining
Thank
us
you.
again tonight.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support. And continuing with the series of paternity fraud, today we're just going to delve into how does paternity fraud happen? How does this actually happen? Because addressing the complexities of paternity fraud actually requires an understanding of its diverse manifestations. So going into it deeply, we've talked earlier and we've talked in different episodes with the intentional manipulation, which is our own understanding. But looking at it again holistically, which is not not in a looking at it holistically, there are cases where paternity fraud can be due to an error,
Mhm.
right? So let me give you an example. So a mother incorrectly identifies a man as the biological father when registering the child's birth. Again, why will a mother do that?
How?
Right? So I'm just giving a scenario. Exactly. How will a mother do that? Because this misinformation, if we term it as a misinformation, actually uh, becomes legally binding when recorded on the birth certificate, establishing a false sense of paternity. So I'm going to go into two different areas. So the first one is erroneously naming on the birth certificate, and then the second one, which we've talked about in previous episodes, is manipulation for child support. So the child's mother deliberately engages in committing paternity fraud to manipulate the legal system and collect child support from a man who is not the biological father. What is the mechanism for this? By falsely naming an unsuspecting individual as the father, the mother secures financial support under false uh, pretenses. And then the third one I wanted to talk about was no, actually, there are a few. The third one I want to talk about is miscommunication or misunderstanding. So, this is a scenario where paternity fraud can arise from miscommunication or misunderstanding between the two people. So, the mother may
Mm.
genuinely believe that a
Okay.
certain man is a biological father due to an misinterpretation of information, which leads to an unintentional paternity misidentification.
Which,
But for
look,
me, even
she
for
was
that
living with
one,
two men at the same time. Let's
thank
understand
you, Laomi.
that. So let's
Thank you,
break it
please.
down.
Let's break it down. Yeah.
Yeah. She was living with two men at the same time, and she couldn't figure out while she was ovulating
Who
which of the
is
two guys
who
she
is the
slept next to.
daddy? Who is the daddy? Who is the daddy? Who is the
Yeah.
daddy?
Because that way you were speaking, it was quite complicated. Okay, now I understand you. I get you
You understand me?
now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
You were
really, Laomi has broken it down in simple terms.
you were
She was
addressing
sleeping with two
you were
different men.
addressing a fraud in the cloak of mistake of misadventure. It's not the same thing. One is actual stealing.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Where you're basically saying that multiple individuals, you're sleeping with two men or more men, could potentially be the father. So the mother does not know who is the real.
So go and verify before you name one guy. So who does she name? Typically, she'll name the wealthiest or the most stable of those guys.
Or the person who is in marriage, the person who is in wedlock. Because
And
remember
why
what
the
we said earlier? There's an assumption that a child born in wedlock is
Oh
belongs to
yeah, so
who?
yeah, exactly, the husband. So if she's married,
Thank you.
she will definitely give it to the husband unless she can find a way to justify not giving it to him. She's going to give it to the husband.
Mm,
If she's not married,
mm,
then she's likely to give it to if she's got three boyfriends or slept with three men at the same period. She's likely to give it to the wealthiest or the most stable of the three of them
mm.
or two of them.
Allow me. Do you know there's also some cases, although not as much as the deliberate deception, where people actually tamper with samples, like DNA samples, when they present false
Yeah,
results or coerce someone
yeah.
else, or they force someone else to complete a DNA test on behalf of the actual
But
biological
that's
father.
not. But that's a guy trying to shirk his paternal responsibilities. He's simply trying to game the system by providing another man's DNA to say, "Well, I'm not the father." That one's trying to game.
Mm.
It's not quite the same thing as paternity fraud. It
It's
is
not quite
fraud.
the same thing.
It is
Yeah.
fraudulent. But the thing is, that has consequences. There are criminal
Mm.
consequences for that action, but there are none for the woman who chooses to pass off another man's child to somebody else. There are no consequences. But if I chose today
Absolutely.
to give a false sample in order to defraud a DNA test or a paternity test, rather, I would be charged with an offense.
Mm.
So why are the decks stacked so highly against the man in this
No,
particular case?
it's just atrocious and just terrible. Very, very terrible. We don't support that on this channel. It's a men's
It
channel,
is
and we will
evil.
speak about men's issues. This is a men issue. This is a man issue. It's evil. It's vile. It's despicable. Lame, can we go into some of the prevention methods for paternity fraud? Do you want to take it away, and then I'll chip in?
I think logically, I can think of only one. And it has to do with state intervention. So there are two ways, but they evolve around the same thing. It is DNA testing. It is,
DNA
paternity
testing.
testing.
Okay.
Period. Okay. On one hand, I would say if you can afford it, normalize it. So insist that let it become a part of your dating life. The way you say to your person, look, are you AA or AS? What's your blood group? What are your allergies? The way you try and know compatibilities and incompatibilities very early on, I think you need to sort of, I mean, when you're telling people that, okay, well, I will not stand for you having kids outside, or I will not
Yeah.
stand for you, whatever your conditions are, whatever your deal breakers are, I feel like we should normalize saying at dating stage, at courting stage, listen, it's not personal, but the way you expect me to provide, to play certain goals in the lives of our children, I'm going to need to confirm their paternity. It has nothing to do with me trusting you or not. It's just for the
Mm.
record. The other answer would be to insist that the state makes it compulsory. And I think that's pretty much the most, I mean, the most universal method is to say the state decides that every single child who is born must have a DNA test before a father is allowed to sign the birth certificate and undertake paternity rights. At this point, it's not the
Yeah.
man electing to have the DNA test, in which case you can't say, you don't trust me, you don't trust me. It's simply the law saying we as a society will not stand for this.